All right, what is going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I greatly appreciate it. It should be fun tonight. I think this is going to give hopefully a little bit of exposure for I think anybody who is not overly familiar. I think with what it is that Driftless Glen is doing. This will give you guys a really good idea. And we've got two interesting perspectives tonight. We've got Justin, who is kind of on the sales side, Casey, who runs kind of the bottling and does a lot of the single barrel program stuff. So fortunately, we've been really, I guess I'll say fortunate to be fortunate to have done several Driftless Glen picks. So we've always kind of landed on some pretty awesome barrels. So this will be fun tonight. So we'll invite the guys on here in just a second. But again, it's one of those things where this will, if you have any direct questions for either Justin or Casey, put them in the chat tonight, and hopefully they'll see it and they can answer any of that stuff. So again, looking forward to having the guys on tonight. But let me say hi to a few people that were in here right away. Top Dog was, of course, as normal. Randall, what's up, buddy? Brady the Great, good to see you, buddy. Who else we got going on? And I think actually tonight will be the first night I'm going to do a live stream actually on Instagram. So anybody watching Instagram, welcome. Hopefully this is working fairly well. We'll see when we bring the guys on how they transitions. But who else we got in here? Sugar Kitty, as always. Mr. Roger Reese, good to see you, buddy. Who else? A lot of stuff going on. So, and if you guys have questions, Mr. Paul P., if you have questions, we'll kind of get into those things here in a few minutes. So let's see. There's Tom Bourbon Jerk. Good to see you, buddy. And happy St. Patrick's Day for everybody. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I know maybe there'll be a few responsible people in here tonight that aren't going to go out on Tuesday. I saw a lot of people celebrating on Saturday when my wife and I were out. So let's see what else we got. So, all right, we're pretty caught up. So without further ado, let's bring on the hey, Eric, good to see you, buddy. We'll bring the guys on. We'll kind of get into that a little bit. So 4-Leaf Whiskey, Stacy, what in the world are you doing here? I thought for sure you'd be out at some party or whatever. So what's up, William? Good to see you, buddy. All right, so let's get into this thing. We'll bring the guys on here right now. Justin, how's it going, brother?
What's up, dude? Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Thanks, guys, for taking a little bit of time tonight. I greatly appreciate it. And tonight's going to be all Wisconsin. We're going to try to represent Wisconsin the best we can. And my opinion, Sharpie, I'll tell you, never sees the film.
I'm dressed for. I'm ready for the weather, baby.
Yes. Yeah. Well, in a couple of days it'll be 60, and this stuff's all going to be melted, so you won't need the ski goggles on. Hopefully, no more the rest of the year. So, but yeah, we just experienced a bit of a, I guess, blizzard-ish kind of deal here in Wisconsin. So it was a bit of a mess for a day. So
that's ridiculous, I tell you.
A little bit ridiculous. Yeah. Mother Nature was like, Wisconsin, not so quite. We're going to kind of hold back on giving you guys too nice of a spring so far. So, so we'll see. But it's supposed to warm up pretty good. So all this stuff will go away here pretty quick. But gents, thanks guys for joining tonight. I'm looking forward to, I guess, myself and maybe a few others learning a little bit more about, Driftless, what it is that you guys do directly, for the brand, and then maybe share a little bit about the story of Driftless for anybody who doesn't know. But before we kind of get into that, you want to each of you just share a little bit about yourselves and maybe what it is you do directly for Driftless Glen.
Yeah, Casey, I'll go first. So Justin Sharpie, national sales manager. I've been with the company for, almost, Casey, where are we both at right now? Almost 9?
I'll be 9 in May.
Oh my gosh, man.
Old timers.
Time flies when you're having fun, right? I have a few more gray hairs than I did 9 years ago, but that's okay. At least I still have hair. But yeah, so it's been one heck of a journey. So again, I mean, it's pretty simple in the grand scheme of things. So I oversee all of our offsite sales for primarily 5 states. So yes, on paper we're in a number of states throughout the country, but we really only dedicate resources to 5. So that's Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, and believe it or not, South Carolina is actually our 3rd best state in the country. So we do have distribution in Texas and California and Florida and Maryland and Massachusetts, I think, and heck, New Jersey. And it's not that easy, and I'm sure we'll get into later. It's not just about throwing bottles on a shelf and praying they find their way into your basement, right? So I'd almost argue that we've taken a bit of a reflection point back and said, okay, let's really dial in here and pay attention to what we're doing. So, so then we have 2 other amazing sales managers on our team that aren't with us tonight. So we have Brandon Suter, who I'm sure a number of you met in Kentucky. When was Kentucky? Is that October?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, yep. That was a good time. Thanks for the party.
Yep.
I'm glad we made it home. And then we have
I'll be coming down with you next time.
Yeah, Casey's coming with. Casey's coming with if you guys are doing that again. So
there you go. That we are.
We need a guy to drive the last leg of the trip on Sunday. So then we have Connor down in the great state of Illinois. So he runs the whole state down there. So he's busy driving around from Springfield to Aurora to all over the place. So as you know, Scott, one nice change is if we would have had this conversation 2 years ago, I was the only guy. So thank goodness Brian and Renee were nice enough to bless me with 2 awesome dudes to help me manage the market.
I do kind of remember you being a little slightly more stressed out. I'll say that, but
you would not be wrong. Those are the early days, as any probably guy or gal that works for a craft distillery. The early days are so incredibly difficult. I don't think people really know what they're in for when they start these businesses. And it was I had spent almost 8 years in general beverage in Madison. And even myself coming in, I'm like, this isn't going to be hard. I mean, how hard can this be? Well, silly me. I was used to selling 500 case deals of Yellowtail and 500 case deals of Prairie Fumé and, Josh Sellers and Boda Box, all very established brands. Well,
yeah.
Pivot to a craft distillery where, let's be real. A lot of folks don't have to have our stuff, and we appreciate every one of them that does. So anyway, but yeah, I'll let Casey take it from here.
Yeah, Casey, go ahead.
All right. My name is Casey Madden. I've been with Driftless for going on 9 years now. It'll be 9 years in May. So I run the processing end of things over at Driftless Glen. That's going to be the bottling line and the warehousing end. I do all of the samples for Justin, so Justin doesn't get any samples to sell if I'm not in there with the drilling barrels. I do my own single barrel picks periodically. I do some of the blending along with our head distiller, Nathan. Just doing a lot of different odd jobs around the place. We all wear a lot of hats there. Very small team.
Yeah. Well, that's important. I mean, I think the combo of what it is that everybody does there. I mean, I think with what, Nathan does in producing the whiskey, I mean, it kind of all becomes a full circle thing. And for me, like knowing what it is that you guys do and the production that's there and the amount of work that goes into what it is that you guys do, it's rewarding for me, I guess, from the standpoint of being able to, I guess there's a little bit of pride that's there, knowing that it's such great whiskey from the state of Wisconsin that you guys are making it here. You're not sourcing this stuff, so it makes it a little bit more special knowing that it's pretty darn fantastic whiskey. And, really, I would say over the past, I guess for me, couple of years and running the club and on all of that with Jason, it's really garnered, I think, a reputation of really pretty high quality. And I think a lot of the guys and ladies that are in the chat tonight can probably vouch for that. And, outside of Wisconsin, as much as we all take it for granted, you go to other states and you're talking about it, you tell people, you're kind of into whiskey and you tell them what state, and then automatically they want to go right to Driftless. And I think that has a lot to do with you guys and your team, just having that pride that's there. So, I think it's a testament to what it is that you guys do. So.
Yeah, and Scott, I would almost say the same thing about guys like yourselves, right? We have been so fortunate over the last decade, excuse me, of guys like yourselves, and the other, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram personalities that, again, I've known for, I'm trying to think, Scott, when did we meet? I mean, didn't we meet almost, what, 8 years ago?
Man, it was a while ago, because I'll never
Um,
remember. I'll never forget this. It's when we were at Distill America, right?
and that was probably back when it was at the Edgewater.
It was, and I remember this guy from Driftless. I'm like, man, what's this brand? This is from Wisconsin. What's this? And you're like, yeah, man, try my 2-year bourbon. This stuff's pretty awesome. I'm like, oh, I'm like, hey, all right, let's give this a shot, or give this a shot. And yeah, man, it was kind of I'll say it's all been uphill from there. And again, you had what you had to work with, and that's what it was. But I'll say this about the brand, and the testament is, again, to you guys, for kind of staying tried and true. You guys have continued to push and continue to do all these great things, and here you are now releasing some 10-year whiskeys. So it had to start somewhere, and they had really good people, including yourselves, there for a long time, and that's a pretty awesome thing. So
Yeah, and that'll kind of go right into, our leaders, right? Our owners, Brian and Renee Bemis. So we're solely owned by those two, right there, right? So husband and wife team. So for those of you out there that have purchased a bottle or brought a bottle home, and notice the grippers on the sides, right? So those grippers are actually Brian and Renee's thumbprints.
Yep.
So one's Brian's, one's Renee's. It's their way of saying they have their own personal touch in every bottle that leaves the distillery. And again, that was their attitude from the beginning, right? I mean, they could have sourced, right? We could have went out and sourced 10-year juice. We could have sourced 15-year. I mean, we, as Brian would say, we have the horsepower to do that, or we had the horsepower to do that. We could have, but we wanted it to be ours, right? And again, to your point, kudos to them in a world of sourcing. And there's nothing wrong with sourcing, of course. I mean, there's a lot of great companies releasing a lot of great stuff, but in a world of sourcing, there's not a million of them out there, right? That, especially since 2012, we'll call it, that have opted to go that route, right? You got to sell a lot of gin and vodka for 2 years to keep the lights on.
True.
And truth be told, we weren't selling a ton of gin and vodka to keep the lights on, and I believe we weren't profitable until 2021. So, or 2020. So, like you said, there were some stressful times back then. Fortunately, we stayed the course. It is a little less stressful now, but again, Brian and Renee are winners. And they hired some pretty competitive people to work for them, and kind of the one thing I always love to talk about, with leadership, and that is, I've been around for 9. Casey's been around for 9. Abby's been there since day one in the office. Bethany, our marketing head of marketing, she's been there, what, Casey, 6 years now, 5 years?
Little over 5, I think.
A little over 5. Nathan's been there, we'll call it, since day one. Scott, our head of house at our amazing restaurant, right? He's been there since the day we opened. And again, if you own a business out there, you know that those types of employee retention numbers just don't add up without great leadership. So true testament to them. I can promise you, in case you'd probably say the same thing, if we didn't truly enjoy waking up and going to work every day, there's long, hard days sometimes, but if you don't want to work for someone, you just don't go. You just don't work for someone. It's it's pretty simple. So
it definitely starts with ownership. So, and them giving you the freedom and the ability to do what you guys do, and allow you to kind of get outside the box, and create what it is that you guys are creating, and the work that you're doing is an important thing. So, let me ask you guys this. So I guess if we just go back, I mean, even prior to whatever, 8 or 9 years ago, going to Driftless, I know a little bit about what Sharpie's done, but Casey, for you, what is it, or I guess now even, what is it about whiskey that kind of, drove you to that? And I guess what is it that kind of keeps you kind of, going, I guess?
So initially, when I first started here, I was not into whiskey at all. So I started my path with Driftless Glen. I worked on the restaurant end of things for a number of years, doing just about every job you can think of in the restaurant, from busser to dishwasher to host. Did a couple management days even on the restaurant side. I eventually moved my way over to bottling, and I spent way too long in the bottling room. I think I got about 500,000 bottles out there right now with my name on it, all filled by hand. Eventually, my predecessor took off, and I was left with the warehouse end. And honestly, a lot of it for me was just going through the warehouse, drilling into each one of the barrels, slowly starting to sample every single one of them, and just the variety of it. How different every single barrel is going to be. You're never going to find two that are alike.
Yeah.
That, and then being able to share that with the people that I've met along the way has really kept me going.
Yeah. It's interesting, or it's always interesting to kind of hear people's, entry into whatever the industry is. And oftentimes it is. I mean, people will start out at, whatever the ground floor is and work their way, all the way up until, what it is you're doing, or, helping Nathan with any distilling, or, bottling, and doing all of the things that you do. And, you become a little bit of a jack of all trades, so to speak. But, let's talk a little bit about the whiskey. In terms of mash bill, and kind of just a little bit of I don't want to go too much science or anything into it, but I guess let's just talk a little bit about the whiskey and the mash bills, what it is you guys, produce, and what you prefer, and, just kind of go from there.
Let it. You want to start, Justin?
Well, Casey, you can go ahead with this.
Okay.
I should warn you, Scott, the size of our portfolio keeps growing. So everybody strap in. We got about 30 minutes of Casey rattling off every spirit that we currently make.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Go for it, Casey.
Yeah.
Go for it, Casey.
So obviously, primarily bourbon. Our main mash bill for that is 60-20-20, 60 corn, 20 rye, 20 malted barley. We've played around with some variations over the years. We have our wheated bourbon now that's substituting the rye for wheat. I've done a few high rye mash bills. I've done some high corn mash bills, a couple experimental things we just haven't even released yet. On the rye side of things, that tends to be my favorite. We do a 75-25 rye. We also do a 51% rye. The rye is always my favorite, hands down. That's what I keep coming back to every single time. That's actually what I have tonight. But along with the rye, we also do a malt, 100% single malt. We've done some smoked malt. And then in the last couple of years, I've really been getting into the experimental side of things. So I've got about 20 experiments going at any time at the distillery. That's going to be all of our finished product, any variations on aging, a couple experimental barrels, mash bills, anything like that.
Jesus.
So I've been having a lot of fun with that. At this point, they kind of leave me free reign and just say, well, if you think it's going to be good, here you go. Go for it.
I mean, I think there's something refreshing about that. I mean, I think for you guys that, you get in there and you're tasting through all these things, and Nathan is the one, I think I'm guessing you're probably working a lot with Nathan, doing a lot of what it is that he's doing, whether you're, directly distilling or not. I think there's a major correlation there to you guys and everybody who's kind of a part of that team. So, I think for you to distance yourself either from him or whatever would probably not be giving you enough credit. I think there's probably a lot that's there, not to take any credit away from him, but you're seeing the results of what it is he's doing and managing a lot of those barrels. So I guess from a daily or weekly or monthly standpoint, when you're kind of going through some of those barrels and the whiskeys, what is it that you're looking for? I guess I'll say for both, blends, single barrels, and then, obviously things are going out to the masses. So how are you, separating those kind of components to know what it is you want to kind of allow out there, in those bottles?
Yeah. So for blending, I'm looking primarily for consistency. So I try to find a little bit of a variation, blend them all together. I want to try and keep every single blend as consistent as possible across the board. With single barrels, if I have anything that's a little more wild, any one note that stands out, I'll mark it for single barrels. If Justin were to put in a sample request, which I'm getting to your samples pretty soon, don't worry.
Yeah.
What
Thanks,
I'll
Casey.
do is,
I hope you've been enjoying your time off for Pete's Peppers, man. Been waiting. Been waiting weeks.
Yeah. Well, anyway, for Justin's samples there, I'm going through and I'm pulling samples out of an entire row at a time. Each row is 100 barrels. There's really not a whole lot that I like to separate out. If I start pulling things out that I don't like, who's to say somebody else isn't going to love that? So there's only one real specific note that if it's in there, I won't send the sample out. But other than that, it's up to Justin. It's all subjective.
Yeah. All right, can you share what that note is? I mean, other than it being like other than there being something like totally crazy, is it something that you're willing to share in terms of what that is? What is it that you I guess don't enjoy or don't feel that other people would enjoy that particular note?
I don't come across it very often, but every once in a while, a barrel will pop up with the Sharpie marker note, and I cannot stand it.
Okay, a lot of bad things with that whole Sharpie thing, I guess. It's like,
yep.
Yeah, it doesn't bring a whole lot of good sometimes, does it?
Can't catch a break.
Oh man. So let me ask you this. So, and as Sharpie, you can jump in if you have something to share as well. But I wanted to also kind of ask you about the barrels you utilize and your kind of your rick or your storage facility and what the impact of maybe particular areas in those different rick houses do, or if you kind of move some things around to try to make adjustments to any of that, how those things impact your flavor profiles that are specific to Driftless.
Yeah, it sounds like a good Casey question again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 4 different rack houses at the moment. Just got our 4th one opened up. Still to this day, my favorite rack house is our first one. If you've ever been to the facility, it's the one right across the parking lot from the restaurant. That building typically held about 3,500 barrels at a time. Recently, in the last couple of weeks here, we moved about 2,000 out to our newest building just to free up some space. So this year's production will be able to fit into the rack house this time, and I don't have to try and squeeze between barrels. That tends to be my favorite. In all of the buildings, they're pretty standard. I don't notice too much of a variation from one end to the other on each one of the buildings. As far as rotation goes, I just have so much packed in on each one of those buildings. I don't physically have time to go and move each one of the racks, rotate the barrels on the racks, restack them all. So they do get some movement. I circulate them between buildings periodically, and then every once in a while, the whole row will come out when I'm doing samples for Justin. I'll go back in a different order, different heights, but not physically rotating.
Are you noticing, or I guess over the years, are you noticing particular areas, I guess we'll say within, like, we'll just call it Rick number 1, that particular areas within that one Rick are giving you guys or giving you different like flavor profiles that you enjoy kind of working with, and then either blend and or single barrels?
So I have one area that I tend to pull from the most. My favorite tends to be the back left corner of the rack house. So that corner specifically gets a ton of sunlight right against that metal roof all day long. So I'm thinking probably something to do with the heat up there. Just adding a more of a deeper caramel note to it that I've liked.
Okay. Well,
at least on a few of these 10-year barrels that I've been sampling.
It's good to know.
I don't have much of the younger stuff.
Well, the next time I'm there, now I can send Sharpie up in the upper left-hand corner and grab some samples from those barrels and really put them to work. So,
oh, good luck.
Casey doesn't let me touch his drill.
Nope.
Right. Probably a smart guy. All right, Justin, here's a question for you. For theoretically being in 5 states, right? What, for that part of it, what has like the online retail distribution kind of looked like for you, and like what has that done overall for the brand as a whole, would you say?
So great question. So I've heard a lot of talk about it, right? Like the direct to consumer and all of that. And we're in Sealbox and Bottlenecks is probably one right now that's really kind of taken the torch and ran with it. But we don't do a ton of business on those platforms it's not quite there yet. I don't think it's ever gonna. Someone asked me the other day, will that ever, take over and things like that. I don't think it's ever gonna take over. I think it'll be a piece, and it'll probably be a piece of the puzzle or the pie that will continue to grow. as people get more comfortable doing that and things like that. But we've had a lot of success in the last, I think we've been with Bottle Nexus now. Ooh, Casey, do you remember the first time you sent an order down there to Texas?
Maybe 6 months ago. Not
6
too long.
months. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've done a nice job. I believe if you go to our website and it'll send you a link directly to them. And we actually got them some of our 10-year stuff, right, Casey?
They're the only retailer out there that has our cask strength 10 years outside of
Really?
Driftless Glen.
Wasn't that
Yeah,
nice
so
of us?
yes, a great opportunity to get a bottle if you're not in a state where we are distributed widely.
And to that, yes, Scott. So our cask strength, for those of you wondering, man, where can I find a bottle of cask strength bourbon and rye? Unfortunately, it is only at the distillery or on Bottle Nexus. In Wisconsin, any of the 10 years that you've seen over the last, again, 6 months, those are all proof down to 100, which, you know me, Scott, I'm not a big proof guy. I love the
Right.
100, and you can't please
Yeah.
everybody. You know, in a dream world, we'll have some cask strength 10-year for the general market, at least in Wisconsin, this fall, Casey, maybe if we get lucky.
Hopefully.
You
I'm not
know,
going to make the final call there. That's going to be up to Brian and Renee.
yeah, Brian and Renee make the final calls on those, and you know me as the guy in the market, you know, I want everything possible, you know.
Yep. I just make recommendations to make
Yeah,
sure we don't run out of inventory.
Right.
and then I beg for everything that I can't have because that's how I get paid. And then it would stop a lot of my phone calls and text messages from buyers that I work with going, dude, when can I get some cask strength bourbon? When can I get some cask strength rye?
Yeah.
Like working on it. So again, the online piece, it's not grand, if that's what you're asking. We don't do a lot of business, or what I would view as a lot of businesses, at least in comparison to what we're doing, let's say in the state of Wisconsin. I mean,
Yeah.
not even close. But again, we've only been really, again, 6 months with one, couple years with the other. You know, at the end of the day, you still need that brand awareness, right, Scott? So
Well, you know, and I think that's a big thing. And I was gonna say, like, is there in my mind, it feels like, only being, I guess, collectively in, a handful of states, that why, like, online retail wouldn't be for, I'm just gonna say, craft distillers in general, a bigger presence. Like, there must be a hurdle somewhere there to not want to get your whiskey into those hands. I guess I shouldn't say not want to. I'm sure you do, but what's the hurdle that, I guess, prevents you from getting that whiskey, to them, to be able to ship it around the country,
right.
and really expose the brand.
Right. Because you'd think like with all of the things like this that we do and
Yeah.
events, let's say outside of Wisconsin, and we're telling everybody, and the folks that don't live in Wisconsin or anywhere near Wisconsin, like when we were down at Bruzelfest in Alabama last year, right?
Mhm.
Learned a valuable lesson there. Should have had a giant QR code at my tent that would take you right to the online portal. That would have been a good idea, because I had about 1 million people ask me, how can we buy it? And I mean, you've been to Whiskey Fest. Oh, Seal Box, Bottle Nexus. They don't remember that stuff the next morning. I wish they did, but yeah. So I think it's a piece. It's a good tool. In my lifetime, I don't think it'll ever take over or anything of that nature. But I'm 42. I'm on the wrong side of it. Maybe in Casey's lifetime. But it's a good, it's definitely a good piece. But you're right, Scott. I've always been kind of curious, right? So, it's probably a Bethany question, honestly, the volume we've been able to do. But I mean, Casey, just ballpark me on what you think you've sent down there for Bottle Nexus.
80 to 100 cases so far.
80 to 100 cases. So we'll call that, in a dream world, we end up doing 250 total on the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it puts gas in Casey's truck, but that's about it.
Well, I guess that's the thing, like it feels like there would be like a percentage or an allocation, a percentage of allocation as to, going to these different, major online retailers, so they can get a bottle of Driftless to somebody in the Pacific Northwest, people who know about it, but have the ability to necessarily get it unless they go to the online the online distributor. So I don't know. Like I feel like it just feel like from the outside looking in, it feels like it's maybe still an untapped type of market that hasn't been fully, I guess, taken advantage of. It feels like, because I mean, I know in my travels and going around and just talking to people in different states, how much of a reach there really is, and I think how much of a demand there really is, and I feel like, I guess, the demand would be there if you were able to get your whiskey into a lot of other people's hands. I mean, personally, but
yeah, I just don't know. I don't know if people don't feel as comfortable with it. I don't know if people still like walking into a liquor store and chatting with Larry at the front desk.
yeah,
Or just, it's because I mean, I don't think it's been around that long. I mean, I'll admit I've never personally ordered anything offline, but
yeah,
I'm an
yeah,
old fart. I don't
yeah.
I don't use my computer that much.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's why I feel like it probably will be, probably more of a, slightly younger generation. I mean, you're younger than I am, and it's still one of those things where I feel like the younger generation will be so used to
Yeah, like
the technology of just anything online. So getting spirits and all of that, will be a much easier and more, normalized, type of thing for them. But
yeah, and
who
you're
knows?
spot on, right? That generation of like the ease of use, and we're busy and we're at work all day, and I just want my groceries to land at my door when I get home, and I want my booze to land at my door when I guess a lot of places I think you have to sign for it, I believe, but you get where I'm going there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting perspective from that side of things. I know when we do a lot of the barrel picks and the amount of whiskey that goes to a lot of different states, always, makes me think like, man, why is there not more of it kind of happening that way? But, I'm sure there's some logistics and everything that's, more than just, what it is that I'm saying. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah, because I'd always, you're spot on, right? Where let's say we do a barrel pick with you guys, right? And it goes through that portal. And then that portal also just happens to carry our everyday lineup, right? And
yeah,
they get through that one bottle of the barrel pick that they bought from you guys, and they're like, oh, this would be awesome if they go back, right? And they go back to that portal and then order, just a Driftless Glen cast strength bourbon, let's say,
yeah,
right? Just an
yeah,
everyday sipper. And I would argue that if Casey and I are projecting, let's say 200 to 250, it's not quite there yet, right? With the repeat buys.
yeah,
And
yeah.
who knows? Maybe the faithful are they all hold out for your next barrel and all of that, right?
Yeah.
The donuts.
Yeah, a lot of those. I mean, we've pumped out an awful lot of them, and it's one of the things I think, within the club that people really look forward to, every year, whether it's, a little after the holidays or whenever we're able to get them out. But yeah, it really has become um a big following. They all sell out pretty damn quickly, within a day or two, they're all gone. And again, I mean, I think it just goes back to what it is that you guys as a distillery in the state of Wisconsin are doing, to compete with everybody that's out there, nowadays. I'm sure is not an easy task. And I think for, again, a small-ish distillery in Baraboo, Wisconsin, who's really competing with, the big boys that are out there, and the quality whiskey that you're producing, is just again a testament to what it is you and the entire team is doing. So
And speaking of the team, Scott, I feel kind of bad. Casey, I forgot to mention Angelica. She's a huge piece as well. So if anybody out there's ever seen, obviously Bottled by Angelica, which has been the last, geez, how long has she been with us too, Casey?
She's actually been with us about 9 years as well. On the
Geez, yeah,
bottling end for about 5 now, I believe.
yeah. So she runs the bottling house, and
Yeah,
she just is amazing, man. She can
yeah. I
every
could
now and
not do what I do without her. I
yeah.
rely on her almost daily. She's one of
uh,
those people that is very self-sufficient. I can get something set up in the morning, which allows me the time to go out and pull all the samples rather than having to stand in the bottling house and monitor constantly. So very appreciative to her.
Yeah. And what's kind of wild too, Scott, is we're doing, like, let's call it 12 times the business we were doing 9 years ago. Okay. And
Yeah.
we pretty much have the same size team, minus Brandon and Connor in the street. But at the facility, Nathan, Casey, Angelica. There you go. Which is wild. So Casey wears a million hats. Nathan, Angelica, it's just all hands on deck. There's times in the holidays when if we need a barrel pick now and it's 2 weeks before Christmas, like, you'll find me in the bottling house helping out.
Yeah,
And I think
Justin will be over bottling. Angelica will stack orders for me. I'll be over mashing for Nathan if he needs help. Nathan will come over, help me dump blends. So just really depends on the time of year, but we're all doing multiple different jobs at a time usually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's just, to all of your credit, it's you guys producing, and ladies that are producing, the great whiskey. I guess let's go back to that a little bit, because I think a lot of times people will ask, me specifically, how is it that Driftless Glen is able to produce such, great whiskey? Because oftentimes, we've all been to a lot of other craft distillers, and sometimes you're just kind of not sure about it, or, there's just something that doesn't work for you. So, for you guys with the mash bill and the barrels, I don't think we even touched on like who you use for barrels, but that entire process, what is it to you guys that really allows for you to have the flavor profile and really the quality whiskey that you have? Like, what is that?
Well, one thing I would say first is, so Driftless Glen, right, Scott? So the Driftless region, right? So the area that the glacier parked its little rear end in, what, 20,000 years ago, wherever the heck it is. So the Driftless region has some of the, I'm going to take a page out of Kentucky's book real quick, has some of the best water quality in the world. Okay. So the Driftless region's won numerous awards for water quality and things of that nature. So it all starts with great water, right? Great water makes great whiskey. And I think that's, if you look at, from a geographical piece where some other craft distilleries are located, I don't know if they're really known for their amazing water quality, without naming any names, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first piece, and I'll let Casey dive into the other part of that.
The other one is going to be a lot of the variation in the climate we get in Wisconsin. Like this last couple days here, we've gotten a ton of snow, had basically an ice storm on Sunday, and 2 weekends ago it was 75 and sunny, no snow on the ground. So that variation works great for me in the rack house with expanding and contracting the barrels. So it really sucks more into the wood and then pushes it back out. So you're getting a lot more of that whiskey circulating inside the barrels. So a lot of it is also climate, as well as patience. Lots and lots of patience.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to put up 10,000 barrels and sit and wait on them to be a minimum of 4.
Yeah. And you said your char level is a 4, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Standard's been 4. We've used 3 in the past. I have a couple other ones at lower char levels, but 4's been the standard.
Well, and when you start talking about conditions, we get, I'll say really hot in the summer, right? Shorter period of time, of course, but very cold. I mean, we see major swings in terms of temperature. So, I've always felt that, oftentimes, Kentucky and some of these other states will talk about all of that. But, I think our swings, arguably are even more than what you get in Kentucky and Indiana, all this between the extreme cold and the hot. Maybe we don't get as hot for as consistent a period of time as like Kentucky and those states. But, we have other factors and conditions that really kind of play into it. So it feels like, and again, the Driftless area, it just feels like a really good kind of recipe for being able to introduce whiskey to a lot of different, temperature variances. So.
Yeah. And for those of you out there that have never been up to the Driftless region, I mean, it's so cool, especially if you're coming from the, let's say, the east side of Madison and get off on the Lodi exit, okay, and take the Merrimack Ferry and come in the back way into Baraboo. And it is not that unlike, I would argue, the drive, that we took into Bardstown.
Yeah.
You got a lot of rolling hills and Devil's Lake and all that. I mean, it's gorgeous countryside.
It is.
Have to make a stop through Devil's Lake.
Yeah. Yes. If you come visit us, please go to Devil's Lake. How that is naturally created, I have no idea, but it looks like a screensaver. So
it does. It does when you kind of get up and you're doing any hiking and you're way up. I guess I'll say some of these peaks or whatever. You wouldn't even know. Like, to try to describe that as Wisconsin, most people would not believe you. If you took a picture of that and you told them that's where you were, there'd be a lot of people that would be hard pressed to believe that you were sending a picture somewhere in Wisconsin. So, it's an absolute beautiful place. And I'll say this about the distillery. If you haven't been, it's a place you need to go. Like, the area is cool. And the restaurant, absolutely fantastic food. All of the drinks, their bar, the cocktails, all of that, fantastic. I'm sure you can go on a really nice tour, have some great whiskey cocktails. There's nothing there that you really, can't do. You're not going to go on a tour like you would at Beam or any of those places. It's not going to be anything like that, but you're going to get treated there, I think, a little bit like you would a friendly family member, let's say, and it's a really, really fun place to be. And it's a lot of great people. So,
yeah. And speaking of that too, Scott, Casey, our bad, right? Again, we have an amazing Chef Dave, and then Craig, who is our head tour guide. Both of them do an amazing job up there at the distillery and the restaurant as well. And then that just reminded me as well, one thing we haven't touched on either, Scott. So our production facility, right? So Casey and Nathan run a 44-foot Vendome column. Again, as we all know, Vendome Copper and Brass Works out of Louisville, Kentucky. It's the Rolls Royce of still making. On top of that, they run a 550 pot from Vendome as well. The 44 is the largest or tallest still in the state. So she's big. Allows what, Casey? You guys to do 50 barrels a week with just you two?
Yep. Mostly just Nathan. 10 barrels a day, 5 days a week.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty massive. At least,
and that's
people tip
8 to 5.
Yeah, that's 8 to 5.
Could run a continuous and double that easily, but got to do a second shift for that, and I don't have the demand yet.
Not the demand. All right. Well,
yeah, I'm trying. I'm trying.
Maybe soon. Yeah. Keep selling that whiskey there, Justin. So
doing my darndest, dude. And that, I don't know, Casey, have you ever heard the real story on that? I've heard an old wives' tale. I should have asked Brian and Renee last week if there's any truth to that. So the old story is what they thought they initially ordered. So when you walk into our distillery, you'll notice there's a hole cut out of the wall, and then the 44 column is behind that hole and shoots up in an enclosure. And the old wives' tale that I heard, right, is they thought they ordered, I want to say, a 14-footer. Well, a 44 showed up on the back of a 53-foot flatbed from Louisville. And as we all know, you don't tell them to go back and get you a 14. So they actually had to build an enclosure and drop that sucker in with a crane. And it turned into what we like. Yeah, it turned into what we like to call up there a happy accident, right? So way more still than, let's say, we really needed at the time. And in all honesty, probably, more still than we really need at this time. But we're set up for the future. If we have to ramp up production, we can, which again is if we weren't nimble enough as a company, being owned solely by Brian and Renee, that gives us even more capacity to crank it up. So pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I know they're obviously known for their incredible, stills and columns and really all of that. I mean, it's Vendome. When you hear the name, you're getting something quality that's going to produce some fantastic spirits. So, all right. So Casey, let me ask you that. So with your whiskey and everything, that when you're out in the rick houses and you've got some things laying around, what are some fun things that you kind of like to mess around there? I know as a distillery manager and single barrel guy, like there's barrels and there's fun things that you kind of want to, monkey around with a little bit. So what are some things that you're maybe either working on now, or some things that you'd like to kind of work on?
So two of the things that have been a lot of fun for me in the last couple of years here have been the Distiller Select program that Nathan and I started a couple years ago. That is basically Nathan and I going through the rack house, picking our absolute favorites, anything that stands out for any particular reason. And we'll put our own label on that. It's distillery only, and they typically sell out within a day or two. And the other tends to be the finishes. So the finishes lately have been quite a variety and just a lot of fun to play with.
Yeah.
So I've done just about everything.
Do you have any particular favorites? Do you have any particular favorite finishes that you like to kind of do?
That's a hard question. The vanilla has been a very popular one these last couple of years. I really like the way that's turning out. But for me personally, I tend to like some of the higher proof wine finishes. Tokai has been a really good one lately. I really like Armagnac. That's a good one. I just started a Madeira barrel not too long ago, as well as a couple double oak experiments that I haven't released yet. So that'll be pretty fun. I have played around with Ambarana. Not sure what I'm going to do with that yet. I still have it sitting in a poly tote, waiting to decide if I'm going to release it or not. Sometimes the experiments don't work out very well, and I just don't repeat them. Other ones like vanilla sells out so fast I can hardly keep it on the shelf, and I've just been doubling it every single year.
So speaking of some of the finishes, so like when you say the vanilla and all of the other finishes that you have, I guess kind of talk a little bit more or share a little bit more behind what those are and kind of what the process for your finishes really is.
So over the last couple of years, we've sought out a few different barrel brokers that work with companies worldwide. So now that I have these relationships built, they'll just reach out to me with a list of barrels and say, hey, I have a shipping container coming over from Portugal. Is there anything you're interested in off this list? And I can just pick off a list, anything that sounds unique or fun. Sometimes I do take some recommendations from the whiskey community. I'm not big online, not a very big social media guy, but I will stalk the Wisco Bourbon page every once in a while and see what's popular, what people are asking for. I've got a good group of friends that really likes to let me know what they think as well. But typically for the finishes, I try to keep it subtle. There's a lot of things you get real overpowered. You still want it to taste like whiskey at the end of the day. You don't just want to have a cinnamon bomb or something that's just overpowering. You lose all the whiskey notes to it.
Yeah. I think the one that Richie, I just put the little his like question up on the thing. Yeah, the Pinot de Charance. I mean, it was it's a pretty darn fantastic stat. So was it
I did do that one.
Was it an intentional thing? I mean, kind of knowing a little bit about what it was and or a happy accident, or kind of how are some of those type of finishes kind of working for you guys?
That one specifically, I partnered with another guy on that, and he took the lead on those. We did a couple with him, so I still have maybe 6 barrels going for him right now, but he took the lead with that one, picked out the barrels. We went through, did a barrel pick of what we wanted to put into it. So I pulled some samples out, picked our favorites, refilled that barrel, and then played the waiting game for 1.5 years on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It was pretty. I mean, that was a really, I was surprised. And the nice part about it was that I'd say with really all of your finishes, and again, this is probably your ability to be able to really watch over them closely, is that they're not being overdone, because I think with a lot of finishes, really no necessarily, game plan. When someone says, I just let the thing go for, 2 years, it was like the plan was just let it go for 2 years and not really care about what the end result was. But I think for what you guys are doing, and, specifically you, Casey, you're able to monitor these things. So like if they're ready, you can probably pull them and tote it or whatever you need to do so that you're getting the best possible product, I guess, out there, to the market.
Yes, it's all by flavor. I don't have a specific time frame. I have an idea at this point. A lot of these I repeated. I did repeat Pinot, so that'll be coming back around. a lot of these at this point, I've got a pretty rough game plan worked out about how long I want them to go for. But initially, it's really just going through sampling it every couple weeks. And if it's ready, if I think it's ready, I'll taste it out to a few other people. I might bring it by a couple friends. I might bring it by the chef in the kitchen, Nathan, maybe the restaurant manager. And if everybody's in agreement, then it'll get bottled and either shelved or released.
Yeah.
So I'm not pushing releases out the door just so we can have something ready. It's all when it comes around, that's when we'll have it.
Yeah. And in 2 weeks, man. I mean, that's a quick tasting process. I mean, that's, you know, I guess in the world of whiskey, that's almost like tasting it daily, right? I mean, that's really keeping a really, you know, close watch on these barrels to make sure that they're not being overdone and to know, you know, again, what it is that not only, you know, you appreciate, but I think you knowing what the general public is going to appreciate. So let me ask you one more thing about the finishing you know, barrels. I know you say vanilla, but like with that, what do you kind of mean by that? Just so people have an idea of like what that is, because oftentimes these finishes that you see with things, you know, I don't think people are very clear, or the distillery or producer isn't very clear as to how that was really either, you know, finished or whatever it is. So like, you know, to the vanilla part of things, can you talk a little bit about what that process is for you?
Yeah, of course. So there is a big difference between finishing and flavoring. So we are not adding anything into the barrels. Everything that is going into that whiskey is coming from the barrel itself. So specifically for the vanilla, it starts its life as a 72-gallon cognac barrel, ages cognac for 20 years. Once the cognac is dumped out, it's sent to another supplier that refills it with vanilla extract. After the vanilla extract is done, the barrel is drained and then sent over to me. I refill it with bourbon. So I'm not opening bottles of vanilla extract, dumping it in the barrel. All that's coming from the wood. Whatever was soaked into the barrel is left in there. I maybe get it with a half ounce of liquid left in there, refill the whole barrel with bourbon.
Yeah. See, and that's the important thing. I think a lot of times, you know, people are very unsure of what the finish process, you know, really is like. And I would say the attention to detail is probably going to be much finer with a smaller or craft distillery than it will be some of the major ones. And I'm sure there are some barrels that come even probably to you guys or to others that are very wet or have I'll say a significant amount of liquid that's in there, and whether or not that is being just added to the whiskey or however that's done, you know, I guess that's up to you in terms of how much you're willing to allow to be in that barrel. I'm sure you don't want there to be a ton, and it's probably impossible to get it completely out of there. And I'm sure you don't want it all out of there, but you know, I think finishes nowadays is it's a tough, I don't want to say category necessarily, but it's one of those things where it's just a lot of people that are unsure of exactly what that finish, you know, kind of entailed. So
yeah, there's Scott, a lot of different producers doing a lot of not necessarily shady things, but you don't quite know what's going on.
Right.
Not they're trying to hide anything, but a lot of the other ones also don't know. So for us specifically, trying to keep things subtle, I have received a couple of our Naranja barrels. They came with a gallon of liquid in them once. I ended up dumping that into a 5-gallon pail and just tossing it in the fridge. Never used it again. So you want just enough in the barrel to keep it from drying out so it actually holds liquid. But if you keep too much in there, like if they send it with that much, that's going to overpower the whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Scott, one thing on let's say my side of the things, right? So, you know, a lot of our finishes, right, have always been distillery exclusives, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've launched a finish in the market. Been a long time. 3 years, 4 years, right? So we definitely didn't want to start blowing the market up with all of our finishes, but it's a great thing and a great, again, another tool in our tool belt to have at the distillery, right? when we have folks come in and visit, and it's something exclusive that they can get there only. Now, I will say this: the vanilla has performed well enough over the last year that don't tell anybody we told you this, but we're
Secret.
we're yeah, it's a big secret, so don't tell anybody, Scott.
Okay. I'll do my best.
I'm working on Casey to maybe get me a dash of vanilla for the general market here this fall. So
Nice.
Yes.
Are we talking single barrel stuff here? Is that what we're talking at this point? Or
Not quite sure yet.
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
working on them. It went from an absolute no a year ago to, hey, dude, what do you think? And that's another cool thing too, with as Casey's grown in his role as well. You know, he's as him and I've worked together over the last, 3 years, 4 years, Casey, 5. Jesus, time's flying, dude. I
Just
can't
about.
believe this. This is nuts. But again, he's getting a better idea of what I do on my side of the business as well, right? So we're all in this together, and obviously, the more boxes we move, the better we all do, and the better product that Casey and Nathan put out, the better we all do. And so it's very refreshing. When Casey first came on board, I was like, thank God. The dude we had in his role previously is like pulling teeth to get barrel samples. I'm like, dude, this is how we're trying to keep the lights on here.
Gotta move whiskey. Gotta move that stuff.
We're not in the business of just warehousing it forever, So it's been really cool. So as Casey, I think, has learned, right, Casey, I'm sure you'd agree, as you've learned a little more about what we do on our side out in the street, he's been able to help us out with some really cool things. And then the more comfortable he gets, obviously, talking about what we do in the street doesn't hurt anybody as well. So we're working on some potential vanilla for the general market. Not sure how much, not sure what he's going to allow me to have. I'm at the mercy of Casey on this one. So
Yeah, I do have 5 barrels going this year, so hopefully we'll get you at least 4, but I don't want to guarantee anything yet.
Yeah, we'll see.
Then with our new labels, we'll be pretty much versatile to do any sort of finish like that in the market if requested. But again, that's going to be on you, Justin, and demand.
Yeah, well, I guess we can before we wrap it up, I guess I'll bring this back to as a group. I mean, I think we've always appreciated, everything that we've gotten, and we've really been able to, it feels like, with us doing it for as long as we have, we've really done it from the time when it was really 5 years old, like maybe even before that, to be honest, right around there anyway. And now we're like seeing the evolution of these flavor profiles and ages and being able to kind of taste through things. That's been really fun, and it'll be nice when and if it's available. And I'm sure we can all discuss this or whatever at a, different date, but to start to get into some different things and really start to, spread some of these different fishes around, maybe to get some of the guys within the group or whatever. But, bringing it back to the single barrel program, I mean, has that been a really a big thing for you, or is that kind of a niche thing, or is it just kind of something that, you do because there's still a demand for some of that stuff with these groups?
I'm sorry, Scott, are you talking just single barrel program in general? Like our
just in general. Yeah. Your single barrel program in general.
So the early days where barrel picks came in huge with Driftless Glen, let's say again, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, that's when we were dumping 25 and 30 gallon barrels. I was new to the industry. We had a lot of pressure on us. I didn't have a whole lot of options to move volume, right? Nobody was just stacking, 5 case stacks, 10 case displays, 15 case displays of general product from any craft distillery out there. And if you need to go find volume, you got to go find some barrels back then, right? So one of my favorite stories was we had a brand manager at Frank Liquor 7 years ago, and I'll never forget, he called me up and he said, "Did I see that email right? Did you just sell 9 barrels in our territory?" I go, "Yep." Jeez. He goes, "What are you thinking?" And I go, "What do you mean, man?" I go, "Selling barrels." Because if they buy a barrel, they put it on display, right? And they're excited about it. Yeah. And they talk about it. And he goes, "You realize if you sell all these people these barrel picks and it doesn't pull, they'll never do it again." And I told him, I said, "Man, with the pressure we're under, that's a risk I'm going to have to take."
Yeah.
And we were so fortunate that all of them, for those first, let's say 10 accounts with Driftless Glen that pulled the trigger on barrel picks back then, it did pull. And they're still barrel pick customers to this day and typically just reload. So we were so very fortunate. And that all goes all the way back to the consumer, right? So without you guys and pulling them off the shelves and doing all that, that doesn't happen. And that's not lost on us either. And that was just we were so very fortunate to have guys like yourselves and other whiskey groups and retailers and retail partners that truly believed in the brand and have stuck with it. This is a long game.
Yeah.
There's no glory in being awesome for 3 years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. We've all seen brands come and go over the last decade that, man, were they hot for 2 years and then where are they now?
Yeah.
I don't know. It beats me, right? So I always look at the liquor industry and the craft distilling industry in particular. This is the glory is in hopefully someone else is doing this with someone else in 40 years from now, right?
Exactly.
When I'm like sitting on my laptop trying to figure out how to sign into a live feed, I'm like, oh, who's the new sales guy? And I'm 82 years old. I'm like, that guy doesn't know how good he's got it. We paved the way.
Well, I mean, going back to it, I mean, it's just a testament to what you guys have been doing over the years and the grind that it's taken to get to this point where you're now releasing, whiskeys that are, age stated as 10 years old. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of other big brands out there that have whiskeys that are double the age or way more. But I'll tell you, for what it is that you guys have done and really just continue to pump out incredible whiskeys, bourbons, ryes, all the different finishes that you guys do, all while having a great distillery, restaurant, and great people. It's a really big deal. So it's something you should be proud of.
Thank you. Hold on, Casey, can we record that? Send that to Brian or Renee.
Yeah.
Well, they can watch this back. They can do whatever they want with it. So all right, I guess before we wrap it up, let me ask you this about Driftless Glen and everything that you guys are doing now. What are you generally like looking forward to in the near future and maybe even beyond a little bit? What's that look like to you guys?
I don't know, Casey, you want to go first? You want me to go?
You can go first on that one. I've got something in the very near future, but you can go first.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't know if Casey would agree with me or not. We've always said, Scott, right? Our bourbon's good. It's really good, right? We'll go good, really good, right? Our rye, spectacular, right? I'd say that with a straight face any day.
That's where we shine.
That's where we shine. But I really think with our climate, I think our sweet spot in our bourbon is going to be 12 years old. I think 12 personally is going to be where she starts to shine. Where we can maybe start going toe to toe with some pretty special people. So I'm really excited for a year and a half down the road, we'll call it. I'm really excited.
We're getting close.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I remember sitting in the office 8 years ago going, man, I can't believe, oh, geez, guys, in 7 years, we'll have 10-year. And then we're sitting in the office, we're like, oh, in 2 years, we'll have 10-year. And then, again, we're, to the best of my knowledge, Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure we're one of the first craft distilleries in the state of Wisconsin to launch a 10-year unsourced bourbon and rye in the general market. I'm sure some have maybe released it at their distillery in very small quantity, but to be able to have the load to send it out into the general market, not just at the distillery. Oh, we have 2 barrels. Everybody have fun with that one for a year. Right. So it's pretty awesome. And that also, sorry to ramble on, but it also, I'm just, as you're asking these questions, I'm remembering old stories. It takes me back to my first time I met Brian and we're walking through the Rick House. And at that time, we probably had 2,000 barrels laying down. And I thought it looked like 1 million. And I go, dude, Jesus, what are you going to do with all this?
Yeah.
He's like, what? Lay down more. I'm like, okay. All right, here we go. Let's just keep laying down more. Let's do it. And it's put us in such a great spot. Again, more on a national level, if that day ever comes, that
Yeah.
we have the juice to supply that demand if that ever were to happen. So that's pretty awesome. And then again, I'm most excited short term. Casey's telling me August we will have weeded bourbon, 5-year weeded bourbon back. Unless, did I steal yours,
Yep.
Casey? Damn.
Nope. I got
No,
something different.
you got something else?
No,
Okay.
5-year
So
bourbon for single barrel picks. So that'll be out to the market, not just distillery only. So
Okay.
after about, what has it been now, Justin? 3 years, 4 years since our last run of weeded, but
yeah.
after 3 or 4 years now, we'll finally have some single barrel picks available again.
Yeah.
We were
coming around.
I'd say selfishly, we were looking forward to that. I mean, I got to try it. What was it, a couple of years ago that you released it, and it was like gone immediately. Like it was just none of it, and it was very unique. And I was like, man, from that day, like I knew like at some point we were gonna have to try to get our hands on some of it, just because of how unique and it was just a different profile. It felt like and worthy of being able to share to people around the country. But sorry, Katie.
Yeah, it's personally, I mean, it's no secret, right, out there in the market that I'm not the world's largest, whiskey drinker. That I'm not getting any younger. So, we keep doing this. I'd like to live past 60. So, the weeded hands down is my favorite line extension that we've ever released. It's so up my alley with approachability, and it's proof and its softness. I just, that's mine, right?
Yeah.
I've
had some fun variations with it too lately. So that initial release we did a couple years back, that was half of it. So the last few releases that we did, we've only released half, saved half. So hopefully within the next year and a half, 2 years here, we're going to have a 10-year weeded as well. Very small quantity, but that'll be fun, as well as some cast strength weeded instead of the standard 96 to 100.
Yeah, that'll be pretty impressive. Is the weeded bourbon line something you're continuing to produce a little bit more of, to kind of like let that stuff, rest a little bit and really add that to the overall portfolio?
Yeah, we'll have enough, Scott. Once we get to this next step in August, Casey and I have ran the easy math, and that's we'll have weeded right for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Come August, we won't run out again.
Yeah, Scott, should I pencil you in for a barrel? Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we did this last one. I mean, we released not that long ago 3 of them, and again they were gone. I think we had 2 bourbons and a rye, and they were all gone like really, really quickly. Obviously, the demand for the rye is extremely high. I think people know what that profile is and just how unique it is. And again, the bourbons are always, very, very good, and not to say they're not, they're fantastic. And the demand really for anything that we do, Driftless will be in high demand. So I can only imagine, both the joy and headache releasing a weeder will be, when you've got as many people as we do, and when you have, let's just say, a couple hundred barrels, maybe, or a couple hundred bottles, maybe, it's tough to spread that around to thousands of people. So that's the hiccup right there. But overall,
so sounds good, Scott. So you need 3 or 4 barrels.
You need a couple.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, I mean, you say that kind of jokingly, but like the 3, not this one, but there were 3. We had the 2 bourbons and the rye that we did when we were at our event this year in October. We released those not that long ago through Jay, and within 2 days they were all gone. So
yeah,
the demand is there for us to be able to do these is always going to be there. So whatever you're kind of willing to do for us, we're willing to at least make the consideration for how much it is that we want and what it is that we want. Like, I think we've gotten to the point now, and again, if you're open to those things, being able to do something even different, whether it's an individual finish that we offer up to our group or whatever it may be, and we can work on something like that with you guys at the distillery, we're open to that as well. Whatever you're probably willing to let us do, we're open to that conversation, I'd say.
Yeah, it's Scott, now that you've had a chance to chat with Casey, so I'll get you his number as well. You have his information anyway, but that is something we do offer, right? We haven't really had anybody take us up on that offer. necessarily. So if you guys put your heads together as a group and say, gosh, we'd really love to do a whatever finish, right? Casey can
Yeah.
start doing some research and hunting down barrels. And to circle back to your question about barrel picks, the way the barrel pick market's going right now, go 4 years ago, 3 years ago, right? It'll go 20, 21, 22 in the heat of the barrel picking world, right? Jesus, if you had a barrel to sell to somebody, you could sell it. That's
Yeah.
not really the case. That's not the case anymore in the market.
Yeah.
And I think we're probably going to pivot a little on where back then, if you said, Sharpie, can I maybe get 2 barrels of weeded? I probably would have said, no, Scott, unfortunately, I can't do that for you.
Yeah.
We don't live in those times anymore.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably our new attitude is, at least my attitude would be, hey, if you want it, you can have it. When it's gone, it's gone. You know what I mean? Like, if you want
You
it,
want
you can
10
have
barrels
it.
of weeded? I'm
You
not
want,
planning on running out either.
yeah,
All right. Well,
yeah.
you guys do realize this is recorded, correct? So I can just go back and reference any of this anytime. So
Scott,
Go for
you want 10 barrels of weeded? I'll take you and Jason down to Costa Rica to hang out with Brian and Renee.
man, now we're talking. It just keeps getting better. We got more whiskey and trips. This is getting even better. Justin, man,
Yeah,
you're the man. Jeez.
well, I'm doing some rough math. I'm pretty sure I
Yeah.
could swing that one. I probably could get you to Costa Rica to hunt some marlin.
Man, I'll tell you, I mean, we're excited always when we can do, 2 or 3, and if obviously the demand is still there and it's continued to be. And again, to your point, like what you guys are saying, we look at it the same within what it is we do, because there are certain things that you look at that don't move nearly as well as some other things. Driftless has not been one of those that has not moved really well. So that's great from our standpoint, which allows us the ability to, if we want to get more, we can, and people appreciate that. So we can talk a little bit more about that. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you guys gone a little bit over, but I do appreciate. I appreciate you guys I appreciate you spending a little bit of time and just sharing more about Driftless Glen Distillery as a whole, the area, the restaurant, really everything about it. It's definitely a place that if you've not been, there's a few guys in the chat tonight who've been there and done picks with us or me or whoever it was up at the distillery. So it's been it's an awesome thing. And it's awesome from my standpoint to be able to say that it's basically in my backyard for the most part. So it's awesome. And I'd say you guys keep doing what you're doing. It's recognized out there. I'll say this. So
Scott, did you see Chad Huffman's?
I did. I put it up there. I put it up on the screen before. So
do we have any other questions we want answered before jumping off here?
Yeah, whatever. I'd say if there's anything else you guys want to share, or if there's any other questions in the chat, feel free to put them in there, and maybe we'll
got to learn how to access the chat.
You should have. Are you guys not seeing the chat? You should have a button. You should have a button on your thing. It tells your shows, and it should
there
pop
we go.
up there.
Unfortunately, Chad, Brian and Renee will not let me lug a 53-gallon barrel onto my boat. That, and I don't think that'd be a fun conversation to have with the Dane County Sheriff.
Yeah, that's definitely a must visit. Yeah, Jason Coates was there maybe a couple of years ago at this point when we did our selection, and that was a lot of fun. I think we only did 2 at the time, I believe. But yeah, we're coming up on I think we've done, I don't know if we're at 13 already or if we're at 12. I don't know, Jason Coates probably knows, but we're at a lot of them. I mean, we've been doing them consistently, at least a couple every single year now for the past 5 years, I'll say. So it's been a lot of fun doing these, and being able to just taste the progression of the profile has been really, really fun and kind of unique. So
what's real quick too, Scott, one little tidbit here. If you're potentially interested, I did get a semi green light. I'm gonna take it as a green light, but if you'd be at all interested in possibly ripping a 10-year single barrel rye, I might be able to get you a barrel of it.
Yeah, I mean, and again, even we don't.
Who gave you that green light?
Yeah, I mean, we can do things different. We can do these
I think
things
that's what Brian said.
Yeah. Man, this is the fun part about these things being recorded. So, I mean, I don't know if that's
Check the tape
or whatever right now, but yeah, we can go back to the tape. That's for sure. So
it's water.
We're
sunburned.
open. We're open to whatever it is you guys have. Be able to share something different, unique that a lot of other people don't always have the ability to get. And even if people are able to get it, there's a lot of people that aren't close enough that can get these bottles, regularly. So to be able to do those and send those out to people within the club is a really fun thing. So yeah, I mean, we're open to whatever it is you guys, kind of have on the table. So
yeah, and Scott, I'll wrap it up too by just saying thank you to yourself and Jason for being long-time supporters of Driftless Glen, and obviously thank you to everybody who's watching right now or listening right now, and then watching tomorrow and the days after that. It's one thing to pick a barrel; it's another thing to sell a barrel, right? So again, like I said earlier, it's not lost on us. We truly, all 8 of us, right at Driftless Glen, truly appreciate every bottle that comes home with you. So a big thank you to everybody, not just the guys that are facilitating. But Scott, I do appreciate you and Jason a ton as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely appreciate it. All right, Casey, one question for you. Can you answer that? And then I'll let you go, I promise.
Yeah. Finishes for the rye, first time experiments. I do have a rum finished rye coming out later this year that I'm very excited for. This last month here in February, we released a sweet vermouth finished rye that was a lot of fun. Sauternes has been a very good one as well. That one's going to be coming back around hopefully in a couple years here. And then keep your eyes on the social media for any of the Distiller Select ryes. Those are my all-time favorites. And we'll have something pretty fun coming around this Friday as well.
Oh,
so if you're local to the area, unfortunately it is distillery only, but I suppose it's not much of a secret anymore. It'll be the second ever Driftless Hazmat release.
Oh boy.
Justin, all right, Justin, this is live. Somebody put one aside. I'll make a trip up there. All right, don't sell them all. Just hold one. Yeah, I want one of those.
All right, I'll have one in the office for you.
Hold me one. All right. So
save 2. I'm sure Jason's typing away right now saying save.
He probably will save 2. He'll be asking how come I didn't.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that live.
Save 2. But hey, Casey, I almost bailed you out. I was gonna say, all right, guys, I'm gonna find out what this is. Unfortunately, we won't be live, but hey, here's a chance if you want to make a visit to Baraboo, Wisconsin, and Driftless Glen Distillery, and you want a hazmat, then make it there on Friday. So
Casey, what's the barrel yield? What's the case yield on that?
Looking like 15 cases. So that's going to be a bourbon at 10.5 years and 144.
Holy moly!
Whoa!
That back left corner.
All right. All right. Hold 2 then. Hold 2.
All right.
So I'll
God,
be there.
This is how secretive it gets up there, dude. I didn't even know this was going on.
Yeah. See,
you're out of the loop. You've been on vacation for a week.
Casey's had a couple pours. Things start getting a little looser, and then you just start saying things, and this is how it goes, man. Things just eventually come out. So,
jeez, by the end of the night, we're gonna get Scott and his boys a 20-year-old bourbon hazmat.
Man, I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I mean, we're already going to see. We're getting a bunch of barrels. We're going to Costa Rica. Now we get hazmat whiskey. Like, there's a lot of things happening. So whatever else you guys are willing to throw out, we're listening. So.
Justin, you got anything else?
I'll let these guys go. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Before we go, for anybody who wants to know where they can find you guys, anybody want to share where they can find Driftless Glen on all the socials and or you guys, on social media as well.
Find us on social.
Sorry. So it's just at Driftless Glen on Facebook, Instagram. If you're looking for bottles or retailers, you can go on our website. You can type in your zip code, or if you have any other questions, you can call the office. The girls in the office can point you to any question you could possibly have answered. Especially if you're in one of the states we don't ship to very often.
Yeah, and then on my side of things, and I feel bad because I always tend to forget one or two, and they get mad when they see these videos. But so we're primarily right for our general everyday products. Every Woodman's, every Costco, every Hy-Vee, every Meijer, every Metro Market. Do all the usual suspects as far as independents, right? The McFarland Liquors of the world, Piggly Wiggly's, Liquor Town, Village Liquor, O'Connell's in the Madison area, Steve's. Like I said, Brennan's. This is usually where I leave someone out and I hear about it tomorrow. But God, what is it? Yep, I gotta leave it at that one. I definitely pissed someone off tonight. Damn.
You did a pretty good job. You did a pretty good job naming just about everybody.
Alpine Liquor into Forest. Someone's gonna be bummed.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Well, gentlemen, thank you guys for taking some time tonight and just kind of sharing everything about Driftless. Greatly appreciate it. So everybody watching tonight, thank you guys so much for sticking around for a little while. If you haven't made the visit there, do yourself a favor and get up there to the distillery. You'll definitely appreciate making the visit. Beautiful area, beautiful story, all of that. But again, guys, thanks everyone. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We'll see you guys next time. Remember, it's about the journey, not the destination. Cheers, guys. On Wisconsin. We'll see how things roll on Friday. So we're looking forward, or Thursday. Sorry. So, guys, have a good evening, guys. We'll talk to you later. See ya.
Thank you.
See you guys.